going to talk about time boxing. Have you heard of time boxing? Do you even know what it means? So what is time boxing, right? You're thinking the same thing as I am. What is it? Well, you know what it is? It's a box with time in it. No, it's not that either. It's ridiculous, but I'm trying to, keep it entertaining. A time box is a previously agreed on period of time that a person or a team are working towards the completion of a goal. So that's long, right? I kind of prefer a box with time in it, personally. But you get the idea, right? This is based on Parkinson's law, which states, I guess, that work expands to fill the time we allow for it, right? So if you allow 2 hours for a job, it'll take 2 hours. If you allow 8 hours, it'll take 8 hours. Anyway, that's the theory, time boxing. So time boxing reduces that into like a box where you can use it. And one thing I hear the most in the world of animation is, I don't have enough time, right? I was like, what can I do with that time, right? So I would say like 10 years ago, when I first came to France, what was that, maybe 12 years ago now? I couldn't speak French, right? So I was trying to figure out a way to explain this to our design crews, right? Because we had basically this much time. So we had 3 days, right, to complete the pre-design on an episode, right? So pre-design is the design you do before you start the storyboard on a television show. So we have like day 1, day 2, day 3. We're trying to work out how we can split the week up, right? So we have like, it's a triangle. And we did this thing, right? So the idea was like, up here was the research phase. That's the biggest part of the process. And here we have a meetup, which originally people called like final, approval, validation. I hate all those words. This should be just a meetup, right? So this, for us, was the equivalent of a time box, right? So we're time boxing our design process. So what I'm going to do is, and the important thing about this process is, it's peer-to-peer. So we're only presenting this internally, because I want everyone to be in what I would call a safe place to be creative. The reason being that in this area here, the research part, we want people to let go, take risks, be brave, get naked to some degree, but not literally, but you know what I mean. Go a bit crazy. And experiment, make brave choices. Then we want to have a conversation here. We don't want to be drowning people in notes, right? Everyone's had that where they get these around, well, I'm not sure I like pink, and are you sure her hair should be blue? I think over there it looks really weird. What is that in the background? Is that a carrot? People tend to do weird things, right? So, especially when they're nervous and they don't know what's going on. So, safe place, be brave, have a conversation. From that point there, we can start honing in on what it is we want to present. So then we can decide, maybe we'll do a little bit more detail, we'll refine characters a bit more. As you get more used to this process, you become more fluid, brave, and loose up front, and then you start to get more tied down at the end, so we're saving time. That's how I said time boxing being used for design process, right? But the other thing that happens as well, which to keep in mind, is, once you do one, you're going to want to iterate, right? We had 2.5 days split in 2, right? So this would be our first iteration, and then we would do a second one, right? So we'd have the meetup, the presentation, the first version, we'd make changes, notes, and then we'd do a second one. So that'd be the second iteration. But you can also go down, you can stack them, right? And just keep going down and keep experimenting. And then, if you keep them, which you should, somewhere, we use REALTIME Board because it's useful for everyone to access to. I'll put a link. I guess I'll put a link up here. I've never done this before, I'm trying. So that you can access REALTIME Board. But what it is a virtual whiteboard, so people can access all that stuff. So you just upload it, it's always there. If you want to come back at some point and say, you know what, I think we went off-piste a bit there, I want to sort of come back over here, step it out to the side, maybe try a few different ones, and then we'll iterate off over here. You can do that as well, right? But again, it's about like boxing the amount of time you need. So I think you've got to be honest with yourself, work with the time you have, not the time you think you need. Be a little bit, I would say be aggressive up front on this first stage. Give yourself less time than you think you need. Actually, you know what? This reminds me of something that one of my, I don't know if I could call him a mentor, but like someone I find deeply inspirational and has agreed to spend time with me from time to time. And his name is Jonathan Sinks from Us Two in London. And he once said on a podcast, to achieve genuine innovation, creativity has to be run through a tight hose. And this is what I think is our opportunity for the tight hose. If we want to set up these obstacles and run our design process through that, we will get interesting results each time. But people need to feel safe. They need to understand that this stuff's not going to end up on Tumblr or some client's inbox where it's going to be picked apart, right? So make sure that this is clear. Like this is peer-to-peer first before we start showing it to clients. But you can also use this process with clients, right? We can explain this is how we're going to operate. This is how we're going to work. So I guess the big question that everybody asks about all of this, every time I ever talk about this in any job or any company, because I have done this a lot now, is why? Why do we care? Why do we want to do this? It sounds like an artificial process. Well, the thing is, it is an artificial process, right? But it's an artificial process to help us scale and industrialize something very personal, right? Because every artist has a personal process, but how do you work that at scale? Instead of working with one artist, you're working with teams of 10, 15, 20, 40, right? So how do you operate with those teams at scale? And how do you do things in a natural, normal way in an artificial environment? Well, this is where you need process, right? This is process that we use, but process should be made your own. So you should build your own process to help you box time and work through things, I would say, in a comfortable way and in a way that gives you a chance to take back the power. So process from me, this is key. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take back the power so that we can dictate the terms of how we go through our creative process, right? And we're able to bring in our partners and our clients in a respectful way and include them in this process, but we're trying to bring genuine value to whatever it is that they're asking us to do. So we need to be very clear up front from all parties in our different companies, the producers, the managers, the artists, that this is how we work and this is how we want everyone to work that works with us. It's not easy for people to accept because it doesn't sound very compromising, but it's not meant to be, right? We're looking for success and we're looking to create results for our clients, right? Bringing value, creating results. So think about what your process looks like. It's one of ours. There's many at You and I Creative, but this is one of ours. If you get the whole team around a process and they pitch in, they participate, they make it better, they're included in how you build it, so they're part of it, they own it, it's their own, it builds confidence in the team. The team starts to trust one another. It builds transparency. Because one thing that happens in development a lot that no one really wants to admit is that 90% of ideas do not turn into projects. And a lot of those projects will never turn into shows. It just doesn't happen, okay? So that's something that people need to realize. It's a risky game, it's very difficult. So if you're gonna do it, you wanna have process backing you up, right? And also, it's a way to filter clients, it's a way to filter who's gonna collaborate with the company. Do they fit in with the mission, vision, and values of the company? Do they fit in with how you work, right? So at least you can give people a shot to sort of see for themselves if they want to work with you. Is that really what they want to do? Because you might do great work, but it's not maybe the kind of environment that certain artists are going to thrive in. They're the kind of main benefits, I guess, from building your own process. It allows you to brief your team members and onboard people better. So if you're recruiting, if you're bringing people in, you can quickly say, look, this is our process, this is how we work, okay? So people can get started easier and quicker. It allows for quicker iteration, so you can suddenly start to solve problems much faster, which is what we're here for, ultimately. And this stuff will really help you achieve goals, I would say, on a more regular basis. So timeboxing is one of the big tools for us. Like I discovered it through the digital product design world, but I think timeboxing is an incredibly powerful tool. There's a number of ways to use it, but this, our sort of upside down triangle is a bit of a running joke for people that have worked with me as well. They like to make fun of it. But you know what, until I come up with something better, I'm keeping it. So it does work. So this is one of ours. Like I say, there's many, we have different ways of working, but it's just a quick way to sort of identify, okay, this is our process, remember where you are. If we have designers that are getting a lot of stuff refused and they're like, why the hell am I even here? We can say, look, if you were not contributing this part here, we wouldn't even get here. So your work that's in here, you are here kind of thing. If your work that's contributing to what we're doing here is a very important part of the overall process. So, you win some, you lose some kind of thing, but at least everyone knows it's part of a process. and they're not going to be like severely criticized or judged on it, right? So it all comes back to making a safe place. So try time boxing next time you have a problem that needs to be worked out fast, and see where you go, and play with it a little bit, you know, see what you can get done in 2 hours, see what you can get done in 2 days, you know, maybe you'll have 2 weeks, I don't know, but you know, see what you can get done quickly, and let us know. So I hope this was useful. If you liked it and you're going to have a go at time boxing, please let us know how it goes. I'd like to know, you know, how you get on in 2 hours, 2 weeks, whatever. And thanks for joining us on the breakdown. We'll see you next time for, I don't know what, something else interesting, I hope.